Imagine being the kind of person who walks into a room and instantly earns respect. Someone who thinks clearly, speaks with confidence, and influences others without trying to control them. Many people believe influence is about position or power, but the real secret lies in communication skills that anyone can learn. In this audiobook, you will explore how to shape your thoughts, express ideas calmly, and guide conversations with clarity and purpose. You will learn how professionals think before they speak, how they stay calm during pressure, and how they inspire trust in others. These skills are not only for leaders or speakers, they help in school, work, friendships, and everyday life. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss new lessons that help you grow smarter and stronger in the way you communicate. Chapter 1: The Foundation of Thinking Like a Pro. Thinking like a pro begins long before you speak. It begins in the mind. It begins in the way you see problems. It begins in the way you process information. Many people speak before thinking. They react. They rush. They guess. They let emotions lead. They let fear control them. But professionals think first. They observe. They analyze. They pause. They understand. They build clear thoughts before speaking. A pro thinker does not always have fast answers. A pro thinker does not always know everything. A pro thinker knows how to search for clarity. They know how to stay calm when others panic. They know how to break big problems into small parts. They know how to see facts, not just feelings. Thinking like a pro is not about being smarter than everyone else. It is about being clearer than everyone else. Clear thoughts guide clear speech. Clear speech guides influence. Thinking like a pro starts with curiosity. Curiosity is the desire to learn. Curiosity helps you ask questions. Curiosity helps you explore ideas. Curiosity makes you interested in understanding, not just responding. Curiosity is a habit. You can grow it. You can train it. When you see something you do not understand, instead of ignoring it, you can ask why. You can ask how. You can ask what if. Small questions lead to big understanding. A pro thinker also understands the importance of perspective. Perspective means seeing things from more than one angle. Many people see only their own point of view. They assume they are right. They assume others are wrong. But pros know that every situation has multiple sides. They consider the other person's experience. They consider the context. They consider the goal. Perspective helps reduce conflict. It helps improve decisions. It helps build empathy. Thinking like a pro also requires patience. Quick thinking is useful, but rushed thinking creates mistakes. Rushed thinking ignores details. Rushed thinking ignores details. Rushed thinking ignores details. Rushed thinking leads to regret. Patience creates space. Patience allows deeper thought. Patience helps you gather more information. Thinking like a pro also means controlling emotions. Emotions are powerful. They can be useful. They can guide passion. They can show honesty, but uncontrolled emotions can cloud judgment. Anger can block reason. Fear can block confidence. Jealousy can block fairness. Pros do not remove emotions. They manage them. They understand them. They use them wisely. When anger appears, they pause. When fear appears, they breathe. When stress appears, they step back. They do not speak while emotions control them. Thinking like a pro requires self-awareness. Self-awareness means knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your habits, knowing your triggers. When you know yourself, you can guide yourself. Many people speak based on habit. They speak without thinking. They follow patterns. They repeat old ideas. They react to old fears. Self-awareness breaks those patterns. It lets you choose new actions. It lets you grow. Thinking like a pro also requires open-mindedness. Open-mindedness means accepting that you may be wrong. It means accepting that others may know something you don't. It means accepting that learning never ends. Closed minds cannot grow. Closed minds cannot communicate. Closed minds cannot influence. A pro thinker welcomes feedback. They welcome new ideas. They welcome correction. Thinking like a pro also means separating facts from opinions. Many people confuse the two. They treat opinions as facts. They treat assumptions as truth. Pros check evidence. Pros ask questions. Pros seek proof. Facts guide strong decisions. Opinions guide weak decisions. Thinking like a pro requires clarity of goals. When you think, ask yourself, what is my purpose? What do I want to achieve? What is the outcome? Clear goals guide clear thinking. Without goals, thoughts wander, words wander, influence disappears. Pros think slowly at first. They gather information, they analyze, they plan, then they speak with confidence. Thinking like a pro also means understanding consequences. Every action has consequences. Every word has impact. Pros think ahead. They consider how their decisions will affect others. They consider long-term results, not just short-term comfort. Thinking like a pro requires discipline. Discipline means doing what is right, not what is easy. It means staying focused when others quit. It means continuing when others complain. Focus supports thinking. Distraction weakens it. In the modern world, distractions are everywhere. Phones, notifications, noise, news, entertainment. These things demand attention. Pros learn to manage attention. They protect their focus. They create quiet spaces. They prioritize thinking. Professional thinking also means solving problems, not hiding from them. When a challenge appears, many people panic. They avoid, they blame, they complain. Pros look directly at the problem. They ask, what is the cause? They ask, what are the options? They ask, what is the best path? Thinking like a pro requires resilience. Resilience means continuing after failure. It means learning from mistakes. It means not giving up. Failure is not the end. Failure is information. It teaches what does not work. It guides you to what might work. Thinking like a pro also means using logic. Logic is step-by-step reasoning. Logic avoids assumptions. Logic avoids confusion. Logic turns big problems into small steps. When pros think, they use logic. They do not jump to conclusions. They do not guess. They reason. Another part of thinking like a pro is learning from others. You can learn from teachers. You can learn from books. You can learn from experts. You can learn from mistakes others have made. Learning saves time. It saves energy. It prevents repeated errors. Pros are not afraid to learn. They are eager to learn. Thinking like a pro means being proactive. Proactive means acting before problems grow. It means planning ahead. It means preparing early. Reactive thinking waits for trouble. Proactive thinking prevents trouble. Pros think in advance. Another part of pro thinking is adaptability. Things change, plans fail, people change their minds, new information appears. Pros adapt, they adjust. They remain flexible. Rigid thinking breaks. Flexible thinking survives. Thinking like a pro also means being detail-oriented. Details matter. Small errors create big problems. Small facts create big insights. Pros notice details, others ignore. Thinking like a pro also means simplifying complex ideas. Pros break information into smaller parts. They explain ideas in simple language. They make learning easy. Thinking like a pro guides speaking like a pro. When your mind is clear, your words become clear. When your thoughts are steady, your tone becomes steady. When your understanding is deep, your influence becomes strong. Professional thinking is useful in daily life. It helps in school. It helps in work. It helps in family communication. It helps in friendships. It helps in leadership. It helps in conflict. It helps in decision-making. People trust pro-thinkers. People listen to them. People respect them. People follow them. But thinking like a pro requires consistency. You must practice daily. You must reflect. You must learn. You must stay curious. Thinking like a pro also means controlling assumptions. Assumptions create mistakes. Assumptions create conflict. Pros verify information. They ask questions. They check facts. Thinking like a pro also means thinking long-term. Many people think only about the moment, but pros think about the future. They ask, what will this decision lead to? What will this choice create? Long-term thinking builds smart decisions. Thinking like a pro requires honesty with yourself. When you make excuses, you block growth. When you avoid responsibility, you block improvement. Pros face the truth. They admit weaknesses. They work to improve them. Self-reflection is part of pro thinking. Reflection means thinking about your thoughts. It means asking, what did I learn? What could I do better? What worked well? What failed? Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Thinking like a pro also means controlling distractions. Many people let distractions control their lives. Pros control distractions. They choose what to focus on. They choose when to use technology. They choose when to rest. Thinking like a pro requires calm. Calm thinking helps solve problems. Calm thinking helps manage conflict. Calm thinking helps handle stress. Calm thinking improves communication. Calmness is not natural for everyone, but it can be built through breathing, through awareness, through practice. Thinking like a pro means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Silence can be powerful. Silence gives space. Silence gives clarity. Silence can prevent mistakes. Thinking like a pro also means balancing emotion and logic. Logic without emotion is cold. Emotion without logic is chaotic. Pros use both. Thinking like a pro means counting words before speaking. It means thinking about impact. It means choosing tone carefully. Thinking like a pro does not mean being perfect. Perfection is impossible. Pros know this. They aim for progress, not perfection. Thinking like a pro also means having confidence in your thoughts. Confidence does not mean ignoring others. It means trusting yourself while staying open. Thinking like a pro helps build influence. Influence is not control. Influence is guidance. Influence is inspiration. Influence is respect. People follow pro thinkers because they trust them. They believe them. They feel safe with them. Thinking like a pro is a journey. It requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires awareness. It requires curiosity. It requires courage. Anyone can start. Anyone can grow. Anyone can think like a pro. Day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice. The mind is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. When you think like a pro, you speak like a pro. When you speak like a pro, you influence like a pro. And influence begins in the mind. Chapter 2. Speaking with clarity and confidence. Speaking with clarity and confidence is one of the most important skills a person can develop. It separates average communicators from powerful ones. It helps you share ideas clearly. It helps you gain respect. It helps you influence others without forcing them. Many people think confidence in speaking is something you are born with. But that is not true. Confidence is built. Confidence is practiced. Confidence grows with time. Clarity grows with awareness. When people speak without clarity, their words get lost. The listener feels confused. The message feels weak. Ideas lose power. But when you speak clearly, the listener follows your thoughts. They understand your ideas. They respect your voice. Clarity begins in the mind. Before speaking, you must understand your message. You must know what you want to say. You must know why you want to say it. Many people talk without knowing their purpose. They speak because they feel pressured. They speak because they want attention. They speak because silence feels uncomfortable. But professionals speak with intention. They speak with purpose. They speak when they are ready. Confidence in speaking also begins in the mind. It comes from belief, belief in your ideas, belief in your knowledge, belief in your voice. If you believe your thoughts matter, your tone becomes stronger, your pace becomes steadier, your message becomes clearer. Confidence does not mean loudness. Confidence does not mean arrogance. Confidence does not mean ignoring others. Confidence does not mean ignoring others. Confidence means calm. Confidence means control. Confidence means steady tone. Your tone shapes your message. A calm tone shows control. A confident tone shows belief. A gentle tone shows respect. A harsh tone creates resistance. A shaky tone creates doubt. When you practice speaking, focus on tone. Speak slowly. Speak clearly. Speak steadily. Your words must be simple. Simple does not mean weak. Simple means clear. Simple means effective. Many people try to sound smart by using big words, but big words confuse the listener. Big words make the message heavy. Big words draw attention away from the idea and toward the speaker's ego. A pro speaker chooses simplicity. They choose clarity over complexity. They choose meaning over style. Clarity also requires structure. If your thoughts jump from one topic to another, people lose track. They stop listening. They feel tired. But if your message has flow, listeners stay engaged. Flow makes communication easy. Confidence also requires practice. Practice speaking alone. Practice with a friend. Practice in a group. Each time you practice, you grow. Each time you speak, you learn. You do not need to be perfect. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Every small improvement matters. Every small effort matters. Speaking with clarity requires removing filler words, words like, like, and, can weaken your message. They show uncertainty, they distract the listener. They reduce confidence. You can replace filler words with silence. Silence is powerful. Silence gives time to think. Silence gives weight to your message. Silence shows control. Confidence also depends on body language. Stand tall. Keep your shoulders straight. Look at your listener. Avoid fidgeting. Body language supports your voice. Weak posture weakens speech. Strong posture strengthens speech. Eye contact builds trust. When you avoid eye contact, people doubt you. When you maintain eye contact, they believe you. Speaking with confidence requires breathing. Deep breathing calms nerves. Controlled breathing strengthens tone. When you breathe well, your voice becomes steady. Confidence also comes from preparation. When you prepare, you feel secure. When you prepare, you reduce fear. When you prepare, you remove panic. Preparation means understanding your topic, knowing your message, predicting questions, thinking about examples. Confidence grows when you know your subject. Clarity grows when you understand your purpose. Speaking clearly also means removing unnecessary words. Too many words hide meaning. Too many details confuse. Professionals know how to stay concise. They say enough, not more. They express ideas in short, clear sentences. They speak at a natural pace. They do not rush. They do not drag. Confidence also means staying calm when others challenge you. Some people speak confidently until someone disagrees. Then they panic. They become defensive. They raise their voice. But pros stay calm. They listen. They understand. They respond without anger. Because confidence is not proven in easy moments. Confidence is proven in hard moments. Speaking clearly requires listening. Before responding, listen. Understand the question. Understand the concern. Many people answer before they understand. Their answers sound weak. Their ideas sound confused. Their message loses value. Listening makes your words sharper. Speaking with clarity also requires empathy. Empathy helps you understand your audience. If your audience is young, use simple examples. If your audience is experienced, use advanced examples. If your audience is emotional, speak gently. Empathy helps adjust tone. Empathy helps adjust pace. Influence expands when empathy grows. Confidence in speaking also means accepting mistakes. Mistakes happen. You may forget a word, you may pause too long, you may mispronounce something. But these are not failures, they are normal. Pros do not freeze after mistakes. They continue, they correct, they laugh if needed, they move forward. This is confidence. Clarity also requires feedback. Ask trusted people to review your speaking. Ask where you were strong. Ask where you need improvement. Feedback builds awareness. Awareness builds improvement. Speaking clearly requires removing unnecessary jargon. Jargon creates distance. Jargon reduces connection. People follow speakers who speak in language they understand. A pro speaker remembers the goal. The goal is connection, not confusion. The goal is influence, not intimidation. Confidence also comes from values. When you speak based on values, your message gains depth. When your words match your actions, people trust you. Trust is powerful. Trust is influence. Trust is leadership. Speaking clearly also requires emotional control. Strong emotions can blur message. Strong emotions can change tone. Professionals manage emotions. They speak with logic and understanding. Confidence is built on calmness. Calmness protects clarity. Speaking clearly also requires intention. Ask yourself, why am I saying this? What do I want the listener to feel? What do I want them to do? Purpose guides words. Purpose removes confusion. Clarity also depends on examples. Examples help people understand. Examples help people picture ideas. Examples turn abstract ideas into real images. Confidence comes from being prepared to explain. Speaking clearly also means respecting silence. Silence can add drama. Silence can show reflection. Silence can slow pace. Silence is not a mistake. Silence is a tool. Confidence also means being aware of environment. In a large room, speak louder. In a small room, speak softer. On video, use clear tone. In conversation, use natural tone. Adaptation creates professionalism. Clarity increases when you remove clutter. Cluttered speech distracts. Professional speech stays focused. Confidence also means saying "I don't know" when needed. Pretending damages trust. Admitting limitations builds trust. Honesty increases influence. Speaking clearly requires self-belief. If you doubt your voice, others will too. If you trust your voice, others trust you. Belief shapes tone. Tone shapes influence. Practice shapes belief. Over time, you will notice change. You will feel calmer. You will feel more prepared. You will speak more clearly. You will influence more naturally, because clarity and confidence are skills. Skills you can learn. Skills you can practice. Skills you can master. Speaking clearly opens doors. It helps you gain trust. It helps you lead. It helps you persuade. Speaking confidently builds reputation. It strengthens presence. It inspires others. When you think like a pro, clarity grows. When you speak like a pro, confidence grows. And when clarity and confidence join, influence begins. That is the path to speaking like a professional. A path you can walk every day. Chapter 3. The skill of influencing without forcing. Influence is often misunderstood. Many people think influence is control. They think it means forcing others to agree. They think it means winning arguments. They think it means pushing your ideas until others surrender. But real influence is different. Real influence does not need force. It does not need pressure. It does not need threats. Real influence happens when people choose to listen, when they choose to respect your ideas, when they choose to follow your direction because they believe in you. Influence is based on trust. Without trust, your words lose power. Without trust, people doubt you. Without trust, people resist you. With trust, your message feels safe. With trust, ideas spread faster. With trust, communication becomes smoother. Trust is earned. It is not given. You earn trust by being honest, by being consistent, by being respectful, by keeping your promises. When people see that your words and actions match, your influence grows. If you say one thing and do another, your influence shrinks. Influence also comes from credibility. Credibility means people believe you know what you are talking about. It means they believe you have experience. It means they believe you are prepared. You gain credibility by learning, by practicing, by improving, by showing effort. Influence also depends on respect. If you respect others, they respect you. If you ignore others, they ignore you. If you insult people, they insult you. Influence needs respect to survive. People listen to those who hear them. People follow those who understand them. Listening is a big part of influence. When you listen, you learn what others care about. You learn what they fear. You learn what they want. You learn what they need. When you understand these things, your message becomes stronger. Influence begins with empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's feelings. It helps you connect. It helps you communicate. It helps you influence without creating pressure. When people feel understood, they cooperate. They lower their defenses. They open their minds. Influence also requires clarity. If your message is confusing, people will not follow. If your message is complicated, people lose interest. Clear messages spread. Clear ideas influence. Influence grows when you speak with confidence. Not loudness, not arrogance. Confidence means calm belief. It means steady tone. It means clear purpose. Confidence makes people feel safe. It makes them feel guided. It makes them trust your direction. Influence also depends on body language. If you look unsure, people doubt you. If you look nervous, people question you. If you look confident, they pay attention. Eye contact helps. Good posture helps. Calm gestures help. Influence without force requires patience. You cannot expect everyone to agree immediately. You cannot demand instant results. Influence takes time. It takes repeated communication. It takes consistency. Influence also grows through stories. Stories touch emotion. Stories explain ideas. Stories make lessons clear. People remember stories more than instructions. People connect with stories more than lectures. A simple story can influence more than a long speech. Influence requires understanding your audience. You must know who you are speaking to, what matters to them, what goals they have, what challenges they face. When you speak to their interests, your influence grows. Influence grows through respect for opinions. Even when you disagree, show respect. Even when someone argues, listen. Even when someone doubts you, stay calm. Respect creates space. It keeps conversation open. It builds cooperation. Influence without force also requires flexibility. You must be willing to adjust your approach. You must be willing to change your examples. You must be willing to shift tone. When people see your flexibility, they trust you more. A big part of influence is controlling ego. Ego wants to win. Ego wants attention. Ego wants praise. But influence is not about you. It is about the message. It is about the goal. It is about helping others understand. Influence is also created through consistency. If you change your ideas too often, people doubt you. If you react emotionally, people hesitate. If you stay steady, people feel secure. Influence does not mean forcing agreement. Sometimes influence means planting a seed. People may resist now. They may disagree now. But later, they may think again. They may reflect. They may change. Influence can be slow. Influence can be quiet. Influence also requires humility. Humility means accepting you may not know everything. Humility means listening. Humility means valuing others. Humility makes your message stronger. People trust humble leaders. People follow humble communicators. Influence also depends on consistency of values. If your values are clear, your decisions make sense. If your values guide your actions, people respect you. Values make influence stable. Influence without force means guiding rather than pushing, inspiring rather than ordering, teaching rather than controlling. People are more willing to follow when they feel they have a choice. Influence grows when you show confidence in others, when you encourage them, when you support them, when you help them improve. People follow those who lift them up, not those who push them down. Influence also requires credibility built over time. A single strong message is not enough. Influence grows through many small actions, many small moments. People notice patterns. They notice effort. They notice character. Influence without force is more powerful than influence with force. Forced influence creates resistance. Forced influence creates fear. Forced influence creates silence. But silent agreement is not real agreement. It is just submission. Real influence creates agreement based on belief, based on trust, based on respect. Influence is also supported by knowledge. The more you learn, the more you can teach. The more you know, the more you can inspire. The more you understand, the more you can explain. Influence is supported by clarity of purpose. If you know why your message matters, you can communicate it better. If you do not know your purpose, your influence becomes weak. Influence requires calm in conflict. When others shout, stay calm. When others panic, stay steady. People notice calmness. They respect it. They trust it. Influence grows when you avoid manipulation. Manipulation breaks trust. Influence builds trust. Manipulation uses lies. Influence uses honesty. Influence without force feels natural. People follow you because they want to, not because they fear you. That is real power. Influence also requires persistence. Some ideas take time, some minds take time. You cannot expect immediate change. Be patient. Stay consistent. Influence grows stronger when you match your words with actions. Anyone can speak well. Few can act well. When your actions support your message, your influence multiplies. Influence without force creates leaders. It creates problem solvers. It creates peacemakers. People want to follow those who respect them. People want to listen to those who listen to them. People want to support those who support them. Influence without force is the skill of inspiring rather than demanding, guiding rather than pushing, leading rather than ordering. You can begin practicing today by listening more, by staying calm, by speaking clearly, by respecting others, by learning daily, by thinking before speaking. Influence is not about power over others. It is about power with others. That is the skill of influencing like a pro. Chapter 4. Building a powerful presence in every conversation. Presence is the feeling you create when you enter a conversation. It is the impression you leave. It is the energy you bring. Some people enter a room quietly, yet everyone notices them. Others speak loudly, yet no one pays attention. Presence is not volume. Presence is not size. Presence is not status. Presence is the combination of confidence, clarity, calmness, and awareness. A powerful presence begins long before words are spoken. It begins with body language. It begins with posture. When you stand tall, you send a message. When you sit with confidence, you send a message. When your shoulders are relaxed and your head is up, people see confidence before they hear you. Presence also begins with eye contact. Eye contact shows attention. It shows respect. It shows strength. When you avoid eye contact, people may think you are unsure. When you maintain eye contact calmly, people sense assurance. Presence also comes from your mindset. You must believe that your voice matters. You must believe your thoughts are valuable. You must believe you belong in the conversation. Without belief, your posture weakens, your tone shrinks, your voice loses strength. Belief shapes presence. Presence grows stronger when you understand your purpose. If you enter a conversation without purpose, you drift. You speak without direction. You lose attention. But when you know your goal, you speak with intention. You communicate with clarity. Presence also involves emotional control. When you panic, your presence weakens. When you rush, your presence disappears. When you speak with anger, your presence becomes fear, not respect. Calmness creates presence. Calmness shows confidence. Calmness makes listeners comfortable. Presence is not about trying to impress others. It is not about acting. It is not about pretending. Real presence is built on authenticity. Authenticity means being real. Authenticity means being honest. Authenticity means being yourself without fear. When you are real, people trust you. When you pretend, people sense it. Pretending destroys presence. Authenticity builds it. Presence is also strengthened by listening. Many people believe presence comes only from speaking, but powerful presence often comes from silence. When you listen deeply, people feel respected. They feel valued. They feel seen. Listening creates connection. Connection creates presence. Presence means being fully in the moment. Not distracted. Not thinking about what you will say next. Not checking your phone. Not looking away. Presence means giving attention. Attention creates influence. Influence makes presence strong. Presence is built through preparation. When you prepare, you feel secure. When you feel secure, your tone becomes steady. Your words become clear. Preparation removes fear. Fear weakens presence. Presence is supported by knowledge. When you know your subject, you speak with confidence. You answer with clarity. You explain with ease. Knowledge strengthens presence. Ignorance weakens it. Presence is also created by tone. A calm tone shows control. A steady tone shows confidence. A kind tone shows warmth. A respectful tone shows maturity. Tone communicates more than words. Tone builds presence faster than content. Presence grows stronger when you slow down. Rushing makes you sound nervous. Rushing makes your message unclear. Slow pace shows control. It shows thoughtfulness. It shows intention. Presence means using silence wisely. Silence can show confidence. Silence can show reflection. Silence can show authority. Many people fear silence. Pros use silence. Presence also requires awareness of others. If you talk only about yourself, presence becomes ego. If you only push your ideas, presence becomes arrogance. A powerful presence makes others feel seen. It makes them feel included. It makes them feel respected. Presence comes from understanding your audience. What do they care about? What do they expect? What do they fear? What do they hope? When your message matches their needs, your presence grows. Presence is not built in a day. It grows over time. Every conversation teaches you something. Every interaction builds experience. Every mistake teaches control. Every success builds confidence. Presence is built by being calm in chaos. When others panic, the calm person becomes the leader. When others shout, the calm person becomes the guide. When others lose control, the calm person gains trust. Presence also requires boundaries. Boundaries mean knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to agree and when to disagree, when to step forward and when to step back. Boundaries protect presence. Without them, presence becomes pressure. Presence means showing respect at all times. Respect for the listener. Respect for the topic. Respect for time. Respect earns admiration. Presence also requires posture that matches emotion. If you speak about confidence with a nervous posture, the message feels weak. If you speak about calmness with anxious movement, the message feels false. Alignment matters. Presence comes from controlling small habits. Fidgeting weakens presence. Slouching weakens presence. Avoiding eye contact weakens presence. Small changes create big results. Presence is built through mindfulness. Mindfulness means being aware, aware of tone, aware of expression, aware of reaction, aware of timing. Presence requires empathy. Empathy helps you connect. Connection builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence strengthens presence. Presence is also shaped by values. When your values are clear, your actions become predictable. Predictability builds trust. Trust builds presence. Presence requires courage. Courage to speak when it matters. Courage to ask questions. Courage to share ideas. Courage to stand alone when needed. Presence also means knowing your strengths. Some people influence through calm speech. Some through storytelling. Some through logic. Some through empathy. Presence grows when you use your strengths. Presence means removing self-doubt. Doubt whispers that your voice is weak. Doubt whispers that you do not belong. Doubt steals presence. Confidence protects it. Presence also means managing fear. Fear is natural. Fear appears before speaking. Fear appears during conflict. Fear appears when facing authority. But fear does not need to control you. Presence turns fear into calm focus. Presence grows when you accept mistakes. Mistakes are part of speaking. They are not the end. They are not shameful. They are learning. Accepting mistakes builds confidence. Confidence strengthens presence. Presence also means controlling ego. Ego wants attention. Ego demands praise. Ego refuses to listen. Ego destroys influence. Presence is not ego. Presence is leadership. Presence requires sincerity. People follow those who care. People listen to those who mean what they say. People trust those who are sincere. Presence also requires patience. Your presence may not be noticed instantly. But over time, people begin to see your calm, your clarity, your confidence. Presence is built in small moments. In conversations, in meetings, in classrooms, in daily interactions. Presence means being curious. Curious about others. Curious about ideas. Curious about solutions. Curiosity shows interest. Interest earns respect. Presence means controlling reactions. Do not overreact. Do not rush. Do not panic. Controlled reactions create authority. Presence means choosing words carefully. Words shape perception. Words create meaning. Words create trust or destroy it. Presence grows when you communicate purpose. When people understand why you speak, they listen. Presence also requires resilience. Some conversations will be difficult. Some situations will be stressful. Some people will doubt you. Presence survives those moments. Presence is not about volume. It is about impact. Presence is not about dominance. It is about respect. Presence is not about perfection. It is about progress. Presence is not about fear. It is about calm. Presence is the quiet strength that makes people notice you. It is the calm confidence that makes people trust you. It is the respectful tone that makes people listen to you. Presence allows you to influence without force. It allows you to speak without shouting. It allows you to lead without demanding. With presence, your ideas travel farther. Your voice becomes stronger. Your impact becomes deeper. You can build presence. You can train presence. You can improve presence by staying calm, by listening deeply, by speaking clearly, by believing in your voice. Presence is power, the kind of power that earns trust, the kind of power that inspires others, the kind of power that lasts. This is how you build a powerful presence in every conversation. Chapter 5. Mastering the art of listening to influence others. Most people think communication is about speaking. They believe the most powerful communicator is the one who talks the most, or the loudest, or the fastest. But real communication begins with listening. Listening is not a passive act. It is not silence without purpose. It is not waiting for your turn to speak. Listening is an active skill. It requires attention, patience, and understanding. And if you want to influence others like a pro, you must learn to listen like a pro. Listening builds trust in a way speaking alone never can. When people feel heard, they feel valued. When they feel valued, they open up. When they open up, they share more. They reveal their concerns. They reveal their goals. They reveal their fears. And with this information, you gain the power to influence. You cannot guide someone you do not understand. Listening gives you understanding. Listening also helps you avoid mistakes. When you listen carefully, you catch details. You notice tone. You notice emotions behind the words. You notice things others miss. A careless speaker may jump to conclusions. A good listener waits. A good listener gathers information. A good listener asks questions. Listening helps reduce conflict. Most conflicts begin because someone feels ignored or misunderstood. When you take the time to listen, anger decreases. Tension fades. Walls come down. Listening is like water on fire. It cools the situation. It allows calm thought. Listening also helps you learn. If you only speak, you can only repeat what you already know. When you listen, you add knowledge. You grow wiser. You gain new perspectives. You discover ideas you never considered. Listening is not only about hearing words. Anyone can hear sounds. Listening means understanding. Meaning. Understanding the message someone wants to share. Understanding how they feel. Understanding why they feel that way. To listen like a pro, you must give your full attention. Put away distractions. Put down your phone. Stop thinking about your reply. Stop interrupting. Stop drifting. Be present. When you give someone your full attention, it shows respect. Respect builds influence. Listening also requires patience. Some people need time to express themselves. They may be nervous. They may be unsure. They may be emotional. If you rush them, they shut down. If you interrupt them, they feel attacked. If you speak over them, they stop trusting you. Patience shows maturity. Listening does not mean agreeing. You can listen and disagree. You can listen and challenge. You can listen and still hold your own opinion. But you must listen first. Understanding comes before influencing. That is the rule. Good listeners ask questions. Questions show interest. Questions help clarify. Questions help the speaker feel heard. Questions help guide the conversation. When you ask thoughtful questions, you strengthen influence. Listening also requires controlling ego. Ego wants to talk. Ego wants attention. Ego wants to win. Ego wants to be right. Ego blocks listening. Influence is impossible with ego in control. Pros put ego aside. They focus on the message. They focus on the other person. Listening helps you understand emotions. Emotions are powerful. Many decisions are emotional, not logical. If you ignore emotions, you miss the truth. If you understand emotions, you gain influence. For example, someone may say they disagree because of logic, but behind the words may be fear or insecurity. If you listen carefully, you notice the real concern. Then you can respond with empathy instead of argument. Listening shows care. Care is influence. Listening also helps you speak more effectively. When you listen first, you know what matters to the other person. You can tailor your message. You can choose words that match their needs. You can focus on their priorities. Listening builds connection. Connection builds influence. People are far more likely to listen to someone who listens to them. Good listening also means watching body language. Words are only part of communication. Body language reveals tension. It reveals excitement. It reveals doubt. It reveals sadness. When you watch body language, you gain deeper understanding. Tone also communicates emotion. The same words can have different meaning depending on tone. A harsh tone suggests frustration. A soft tone suggests fear. A shaky tone suggests uncertainty. Listening means noticing tone. Listening also requires silence. Silence is not empty. Silence gives space. Silence allows others to speak. Silence invites trust. Silence shows patience. Pros do not fear silence. They use it. Listening means staying open. Do not judge too quickly. Do not assume you know the answer. Do not assume the other person is wrong. When you assume, you stop listening. When you stay open, you learn. Listening also builds empathy. Empathy is the ability to imagine the feelings of others. Empathy creates understanding. Understanding creates respect. Respect creates influence. Good listeners do not rush to fix everything. Sometimes people do not want solutions. They want understanding. They want comfort. They want someone to feel with them. Listening gives comfort. Listening also helps build relationships. Strong relationships are built on trust. Trust is built on listening. When people know you listen, they confide in you. They trust you. They follow you. Listening requires awareness of timing. Sometimes the right time to listen is now. Sometimes the right time to listen is later. If someone is too emotional, listening might require waiting. Patience strengthens the moment. Listening also helps during conflict. When someone is angry, they want to be heard. If you interrupt, anger grows. If you listen, anger softens. Listening does not fix everything, but it opens the door to solution. Listening shows respect, even when you disagree. Listening turns conversations into cooperation. Listening helps you avoid argument traps. Many arguments are started because people react before understanding. Listening slows reactions. Listening helps you respond thoughtfully instead of emotionally. Listening helps you influence without force. When people feel heard, they listen back. When they listen back, you gain influence. Listening also teaches humility. Humility means accepting that you do not know everything. Listening proves it. Listening builds emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand emotions, to manage your own emotions, to recognize emotions in others. It is one of the strongest tools in influence. Listening builds it. Listening is a skill that improves with practice. No one becomes a great listener overnight. You must practice. You must reflect. You must notice when you interrupt. You must notice when you drift. Improvement begins with awareness. Listening shows others that you care about the message, not just the moment. When people feel you care, they trust you. Trust is influence. Listening is crucial in leadership. Leaders who do not listen lose respect. Leaders who do not listen make poor decisions. Leaders who do not listen lose connection. Great leaders are great listeners. Listening helps solve problems. When you listen, you understand causes. You understand options. Listening prevents misunderstanding. Misunderstanding creates conflict. Listening removes misunderstanding. Listening creates calm. Calm increases influence. Listening teaches you when to speak, when to pause, when to ask, when to comfort. Listening also helps you grow as a communicator. When you listen to skilled speakers, you learn techniques. When you listen to experts, you gain knowledge. Listening to feedback improves your own performance. Listening to criticism helps you grow. Listening to encouragement helps you continue. Most people listen only to respond. Pros listen to understand. That difference changes everything. When you master listening, your words become stronger. Your presence becomes stronger. Your influence becomes stronger. Because influence does not begin with words. It begins with ears. It begins with patience. It begins with respect. And when you learn to listen like a professional, you will speak like a professional. You will think like a professional. You will influence like a professional. Listening is not weakness. Listening is strength. Listening is a skill. And listening is power. Master it. Chapter 6. Controlling emotions. So you think and speak like a thinking like a pro and speaking like a pro both depend on one big skill: controlling emotions. Emotions are powerful. They can guide you or mislead you. They can help you communicate or destroy communication. They can make you listen or make you interrupt. They can make you calm or make you panic. Many people lose control of their emotions in conversations. They react instead of responding. They explode instead of explaining. They argue instead of understanding. When emotions take control, logic disappears. When emotions take control, confidence weakens. When emotions take control, influence becomes impossible. A professional communicator knows emotions matter. They do not ignore emotions. They do not pretend to be emotionless. But they do not let emotions control their actions. They use emotions instead of being used by them. They understand where emotions come from. They understand how emotions show up in body language. They understand how emotions change tone and reactions. They understand how emotions affect listening and speaking. Emotional control does not mean being cold. It means being aware. It means being steady. It means reacting with thought instead of impulse. It means keeping your mind clear even when your feelings are strong. Anger is one of the most common emotions in communication. Anger can appear when you feel misunderstood. It can appear when you feel insulted. It can appear when you feel insulted. It can appear when you disagree deeply. It can appear when you feel someone is not listening. Anger is natural. But if anger controls your speech, communication breaks. Anger makes your voice louder. Anger makes your words harsher. Anger blocks understanding. Anger creates fear. Fear closes minds. Professionals understand this. They learn to pause when anger rises. They breathe. They step back. They give themselves a moment. That moment protects them from saying something they will regret. Fear is another emotion that affects communication. Fear appears when speaking in public. Fear appears in conflict. Fear appears when you face authority. Fear appears when you face judgment. Fear can make your voice shake. Fear can make your thoughts freeze. Fear can make you stay silent when you should speak. But fear is not the enemy. Fear is a signal. Fear tells you that something matters. Fear tells you that the moment is important. Professionals learn to feel fear without letting it stop them. They learn to control their breathing. They learn to slow down. They learn to focus on the message instead of the fear. Anxiety is another emotion that can affect communication. Anxiety makes your mind race. Anxiety makes your body tense. Anxiety makes you speak too fast. Anxiety makes you doubt your words. Anxiety makes you imagine worst outcomes. Anxiety whispers you cannot do this. Professionals learn to challenge anxiety. They ask themselves what is the truth. They remind themselves of their preparation. They remind themselves of their skills. Anxiety loses power when challenged with reason. Sadness can also affect communication. Sadness can lower your voice. Sadness can make you withdraw. Sadness can make you avoid speaking. Sadness can make you feel hopeless. Professionals respect sadness. They allow themselves to feel it, but they do not let sadness shape decisions without thought. They do not let sadness silence them. When communication is needed, jealousy and pride can destroy communication. Pride makes you refuse to listen. Pride makes you interrupt. Pride makes you try to prove you are better. Pride blocks growth. Jealousy creates resentment. Resentment creates attacks. Professionals learn to notice these emotions. They ask themselves if the emotion is helping or hurting. They choose responses based on reason, not pride or jealousy. Controlling emotions begins with recognition. You cannot control what you do not notice. If you deny emotions, they control you. If you hide emotions, they grow stronger. Awareness is the first step. When you feel angry, say to yourself, I am feeling angry. When you feel scared, say, I am scared. When you feel anxious, Say, "I am anxious." Naming emotions reduces their power. Naming emotions makes them clearer. Naming emotions helps you choose action instead of reaction. Breathing is a simple tool, yet powerful. Deep breathing sends signals to your brain. It slows your heartbeat. It calms your thoughts. It reduces panic. It allows logic to return. When emotions rise, breathing is the first defense. Professionals use it quietly and naturally. Pausing is another tool. A single pause can prevent a breakdown in communication. A pause can prevent anger from escaping as harsh words. A pause can prevent panic from causing silence. A pause can prevent fear from taking control. Professionals use pauses. They do not see them as weakness. Emotional control also requires empathy. Empathy helps you understand others. When you understand their feelings, you respond with sensitivity. You avoid unnecessary conflict. You avoid harsh tone. You avoid judgment. Empathy softens reactions. It reduces anger. It increases patience. Controlling emotions does not mean ignoring triggers. It means understanding them. If certain situations always anger you, recognize the pattern. If certain tones always upset you, recognize the pattern. If certain words always make you defensive, recognize the pattern. Professionals learn their triggers. They prepare for them. Emotional control requires self-awareness. You must know your limits. You must know when you need a break. You must know when you need silence. You must know when you need help. Self-awareness is part of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand emotions, manage emotions, and use emotions wisely. It is one of the strongest skills in communication. It helps you stay calm in conflict. It helps you build empathy. It helps you influence others. It helps you stay respectful. It helps you avoid destructive reactions. Emotional intelligence separates amateurs from professionals. Emotions are not enemies. They add depth to communication. They add passion. They add sincerity. They add connection. Without emotion, communication feels empty. Without emotion, influence feels mechanical. The goal is not to remove emotion. The goal is to guide emotion. When you control emotion, your thinking becomes clearer. Your speech becomes steadier. Your presence becomes stronger. Your influence becomes deeper. Controlling emotions also means understanding physical reactions. When angry, your muscles tense. When anxious, your hands shake. When scared, your stomach tightens. When stressed, your breathing becomes short. Professionals recognize these signs. They respond early. They breathe. They relax their shoulders. They slow down. They create space for thought. Self-talk shapes emotional control. The words you tell yourself matter. If you tell yourself, "I will fail," your fear grows. If you tell yourself, "I cannot handle this," anxiety increases. If you tell yourself, "I am ready," confidence develops. If you tell yourself, "I can learn," growth begins. Professionals use supportive self-talk. Environment affects emotions. A noisy place increases stress. A rushed setting increases panic. A hostile tone increases anger. Professionals adjust environment when possible. They choose calm spaces for serious conversations. They avoid emotional discussions in stressful places. Controlling emotions also means letting go of the need to win every conversation. Some people argue to win. Professionals communicate to understand. Winning arguments does not build influence. Understanding builds influence. Apology is part of emotional control. When you lose control, acknowledge it. When you speak too harshly, apologize. When you misunderstand, correct yourself. Apology is not weakness, it is responsibility. Responsibility builds respect. Controlling emotions helps during disagreements. When the other person becomes defensive, you stay calm. When the other person raises their voice, you remain steady. When the other person attacks, you listen. Calmness reduces conflict. Calmness spreads. It influences the other person to calm down as well. Emotional control also protects your message. People ignore words delivered with rage. People resist words delivered with arrogance. People fear words delivered with panic. But people trust words delivered with calm. People respect controlled tone. People listen to steady speech. Emotions shape tone. Tone shapes influence. Influence shapes results. Controlling emotions is not natural for everyone. It takes practice. It takes awareness. It takes patience. Some days you succeed. Some days you fail. Both are part of growth. You can start small. Count to 3 before responding. Breathe when emotions rise. Notice tone. Slow down. Listen first. Reflect before reacting. These habits build emotional control. Over time, emotional control becomes natural. You respond instead of react. You think instead of panic. You speak instead of shout. You listen instead of interrupt. You respect instead of attack. When you master emotional control, communication becomes easier. Conflict becomes manageable. Public speaking becomes less frightening. Daily conversations become smoother. Arguments become shorter. Relationships become stronger. Thinking like a pro requires emotional control. Speaking like a pro requires emotional control. You shape emotions, or emotions shape you. Professionals choose the first. That is emotional control. Chapter 7: Developing Critical Thinking for Stronger Influence. Critical thinking is one of the most powerful skills you can develop if you want to think, speak, and influence like a pro. Critical thinking means using your mind carefully. It means questioning ideas instead of accepting them blindly. It means searching for truth instead of reacting to assumptions. It means looking deeper, not just looking at the surface. Many people hear something and believe it right away. They hear a rumor, they hear an opinion, they hear a claim, they hear a bold statement, and they accept it without proof. But professionals do not think that way. They ask questions, they search for evidence, they look at the facts, they try to understand before they decide. Critical thinking is not about being negative. It is not about doubting everything. It is not about refusing to believe people. It is about being responsible with your mind. Your mind is a tool, and critical thinking keeps it sharp. Critical thinking begins with curiosity. Curiosity makes you ask why. It makes you ask how. It makes you ask what is the reason. Without curiosity, your thinking becomes lazy. You accept easy answers. You ignore deeper meaning. But with curiosity, your thinking becomes strong. Curiosity helps you explore ideas instead of rejecting them or accepting them without reason. When you hear something surprising, do not react. Ask yourself, why is this true? Ask yourself what proof exists. Ask yourself what is missing. Critical thinking also requires observation. You must pay attention. You must notice details. You must notice patterns. You must notice tone. You must notice behavior. When you observe, you gain information others miss. Observation helps you understand people. It helps you understand motivations. It helps you understand situations. If you want to influence others, you must understand them. You cannot influence what you do not understand. Critical thinking also means separating fact from opinion. Many people mix the two. They speak as if their opinion is the truth. They argue based on assumption. Professionals separate facts from feelings. Facts are proven. Opinions are personal. When you think critically, you test claims. You test them with logic. You test them with evidence. You test them with reasoning. You test them with experience. Critical thinking also requires self-awareness. You must understand your own biases. Bias is when your feelings or beliefs affect your judgment. Bias makes you favor one side without reason. Everyone has biases. Professionals recognize them. They check them. They do not let bias control decisions. Critical thinking also helps you avoid manipulation. Many people try to manipulate others. They use emotional arguments. They use fear. They use pressure. They use charm. Critical thinking helps you notice manipulation. It helps you resist it. Critical thinking means understanding that not every message is honest. Not every statistic is real. Not every source is reliable. Professionals check sources. They check facts. They check motives. Critical thinking also requires patience. Quick thinking can be helpful in emergencies, but deep thinking requires time. It requires reflection. It requires attention. Rushed thinking creates mistakes. Critical thinking helps you avoid reaction-based communication. When your emotions lead, your judgment weakens. When your emotions calm, your judgment improves. Critical thinking works best with emotional control. Critical thinking helps you make better decisions. Decisions about what to believe. Decisions about what to support. Decisions about who to trust. Decisions about how to act. Critical thinking makes your voice stronger. When you speak with evidence, people listen. When you speak with logic, people respect you. When you speak with clarity, people trust you. Critical thinking also makes you a better listener. When you listen critically, you do not only hear words, you hear meaning, you hear intent, you hear gaps. You ask yourself, does this make sense? Is something missing? What is the goal? Critical thinking is not about arguing more. It is about understanding more. It is not about defeating others. It is about finding truth. Critical thinking also teaches humility. When you think critically, you accept you might be wrong. You accept you may not know everything. That humility makes your mind open. It makes you willing to learn. Some people pretend to know everything. They talk with confidence but without evidence. Pros do not pretend. They admit uncertainty. They ask questions. They seek information. Critical thinking helps in everyday life. It helps when reading news. It helps in school. It helps in business. It helps in relationships. It helps in leadership. It helps in conflict. Critical thinking helps you avoid rumor-based decisions. It helps you avoid peer pressure. It helps you avoid being misled. Critical thinking is not only about rejecting ideas. It is also about recognizing strong ideas. When you think critically, you notice good arguments. You notice strong evidence. You notice deep reasoning. Critical thinking helps you communicate better. When you think clearly, you speak clearly. When you think deeply, you speak strongly. When you think logically, you influence easily. Influence based on emotion is weak. Influence based on logic is strong. Emotion changes quickly. Logic lasts. Critical thinking also protects you in arguments. When others attack your point, you stay calm. You explain your reasoning. You support your claim. You avoid personal attacks. You avoid panic. Critical thinking also helps you see long-term effects. Many people think only about the moment. They think about what feels good now. They ignore future consequences. Pros think ahead. They ask, what will this choice create tomorrow? Critical thinking requires reflection. Reflection means thinking about your thinking. It means asking yourself, what did I learn? It means evaluating your own ideas. Reflection improves your reasoning. Critical thinking also requires independence. Independent thinking means forming your own opinions. It means not copying others. It means not changing your beliefs because of pressure. Critical thinkers still listen to others. They still learn. They still consider new ideas. But they decide based on evidence, not pressure. Critical thinking helps you become persuasive. When you argue with evidence, you are strong. When you argue with logic, you are convincing. When you argue with clarity, you influence. Critical thinking helps you avoid exaggeration. Exaggeration weakens arguments. It damages credibility. Professionals avoid it. Critical thinking also helps you notice false choices. Many arguments present two options, but often there are more. Critical thinking searches for other options. Critical thinking helps you ask better questions. What is the goal? What are the risks? What are the benefits? What evidence purports this? What evidence opposes it? Critical thinking helps you avoid being fooled by clever words. Some people use emotional stories to hide weak points. Critical thinking looks at facts, not just stories. Critical thinking helps you detect bias in others. You'll notice when someone is speaking from fear, from pride, from loyalty, from reason. Critical thinking does not remove emotion. It balances it. It prevents emotion from overpowering logic. Critical thinking also helps you understand complexity. Some problems are not simple. Some issues have many sides. Critical thinking allows you to see those sides. Critical thinking allows you to disagree respectfully. You can challenge ideas without attacking people. You can debate without anger. You can learn while disagreeing. Critical thinking helps you separate signal from noise. In conversations, some details matter, some do not. Some information is helpful, some distracts. Critical thinking helps you focus. Critical thinking makes you more confident. When you evaluate ideas carefully, you trust your decisions more. You defend them better. Critical thinking helps you avoid regret. When you think deeply, your choices improve. Mistakes decrease. Critical thinking also builds resilience. You learn to handle challenges. You learn to overcome confusion. You learn to break problems into smaller parts. Critical thinking is a lifelong process. You cannot master it in one day. You learn it through practice, through reading, through listening, through experience. Every time you ask questions, you build critical thinking. Every time you check evidence, you build critical thinking. Every time you challenge your assumptions, you build critical thinking. Critical thinking helps you think like a pro. It helps you speak like a pro. It helps you influence like a pro, because influence based on truth is stronger than influence based on fear. Influence based on logic is stronger than influence based on emotion alone. Influence based on understanding is stronger than influence based on pressure. Critical thinking sharpens the mind. A sharp mind creates strong words. Strong words create powerful influence. This is how you develop critical thinking. Step by step, choice by choice, question by question. It becomes a habit that guides you, a habit that protects you, a habit that empowers you. And when you master critical thinking, you unlock a level of communication many people never reach. That is the skill of critical thinking. Chapter 8. The psychology of influence and how to use it wisely. Influence is not luck. It is not magic. It is not a trick. Influence is based on psychology. Psychology explains how people think, how they feel, how they react, and how they make decisions. If you understand the psychology of influence, you can guide conversations. You can inspire action. You can change minds. You can build trust. But this knowledge must be used wisely. Influence is powerful. It can be used to help or harm. Professionals use influence to help, not manipulate. They use influence to inspire, not control. Understanding influence begins with understanding human needs. Every person wants to feel heard. Every person wants to feel respected. Every person wants to feel valued. When you speak to these needs, your influence grows. When you ignore these needs, your influence shrinks. People listen to those who respect them. People resist those who disrespect them. Another basic human need is trust. Trust makes communication smooth. Trust makes people open. Trust makes people less defensive. When trust is present, influence becomes easier. When trust is missing, influence becomes nearly impossible. Trust builds slowly. It builds through honesty. It builds through kindness. It builds through consistency. It breaks quickly through lies and disrespect. Professionals protect trust. Human beings also want certainty. They want to feel safe. They want to feel guided. They want to feel supported. If your words bring clarity, you build influence. If your words bring confusion, you lose influence. Clarity gives comfort. Comfort builds trust. Trust increases influence. Emotions influence decisions more than logic. People like to think they are logical. They like to think they make decisions through reason. But emotion plays a major role. Fear, excitement, pride, insecurity, hope, anger, love, and sadness shape choices. Professionals understand this. They use emotion with care. They do not ignore emotion. They do not attack emotion. They acknowledge emotion. Influence also depends on social proof. Social proof means people are more likely to follow an idea when they see others follow it. This is why trends grow. This is why opinions spread. This is why leaders influence. Professionals understand social proof and use it without pressure. They show value. They show results. They let success speak. Another part of influence is authority. Authority does not mean power. It does not mean rank. Authority means credibility. It means knowledge. It means experience. When someone sees you as informed, they listen. When they see you as confused, they ignore you. Authority is earned, not demanded. Reciprocity is another psychological principle. If you give something, people often want to give back. If you help, others feel inclined to help you. If you show kindness, they show kindness. If you share knowledge, they listen. Professionals use reciprocity ethically. They do not manipulate, they contribute first. Influence grows through connection. People are influenced by people they like. They are influenced by people they relate to. They are influenced by people who understand them. Connection is created through empathy, respect, and shared experience. Influence also depends on timing. A message delivered at the wrong time may fail. The same message delivered at the right time may succeed. Professionals observe timing. They do not rush. They do not push. They wait for the right moment. Influence is also shaped by storytelling. Stories tap into emotion. Stories create connection. Stories make ideas memorable. People forget arguments. They remember stories. Professionals use stories to explain. Influence also depends on listening. If you do not listen, you cannot influence. Listening shows respect. Listening shows patience. Listening shows understanding. Influence is also affected by confidence. People trust confident voices. People hesitate with uncertain voices. Confidence does not mean loudness. It means steady tone. It means calm presence. Influence also requires emotional intelligence. You must understand how others feel. You must understand how your words impact feelings. You must understand how emotions guide decisions. Professionals use emotional intelligence to prevent conflict, not cause it. Influence also depends on framing. Framing means how you present an idea. Two people can say the same words, but how they frame it changes the reaction. For example, saying you must do this creates pressure. Saying this will help you creates cooperation. Influence depends on clarity of benefit. People follow when they understand what they gain. Influence fails when benefit is unclear. Professionals explain value. They explain outcomes. Influence also requires conviction. Conviction means belief. When you believe in your message, people sense it. When you doubt yourself, people sense that too. Influence is shaped by body language. Open posture invites communication. Closed posture blocks communication. Eye contact creates connection. Looking away shows insecurity. Influence is also shaped by tone. Tone can show confidence. Tone can show respect. Tone can show calmness. Tone can show care. Influence is also affected by motivation. People can be motivated by fear, reward, belonging, pride, or purpose. Professionals choose purpose. They choose belonging. They avoid fear-based influence. Fear may create short-term obedience, but it destroys long-term trust. Influence grows with practice. Practice builds awareness. Practice builds patience. Practice builds emotional control. Influence also requires self-control. If you react emotionally, you lose influence. If you attack, you lose influence. If you panic, you lose influence. Calm builds influence. Influence requires humility. Humility keeps you grounded. Humility prevents arrogance. Humility increases respect. People follow those who listen to them. People follow those who speak clearly. People follow those who act with integrity. Influence also depends on adaptation. You cannot speak the same way to everyone. Different audiences need different approaches. Professionals adjust. Influence also depends on consistency. If you change messages often, trust breaks. If you stay consistent, trust builds. Influence must be used responsibly. Influence used for selfish gain is manipulation. Influence used to mislead is abuse. Influence used to harm others destroys reputation. Professionals use influence to help, guide, uplift, and improve. Influence is not about control. It is about cooperation. It is about inspiration. It is about service. When you understand psychology, you understand people. When you understand people, you influence better. Influence grows from trust. Influence grows from respect. Influence grows from clarity. Influence grows from empathy. The psychology of influence is powerful, and when used wisely, it becomes a force for good. Chapter 9. Speaking with authority without being aggressive. Authority is a powerful part of influence. When someone speaks with authority, people listen. They pay attention. They respect the message. They trust the voice. Authority makes your ideas stronger. It makes your words clearer. It makes your presence bigger. But there is a common mistake many people make. They think authority means aggression. They think raising their voice shows strength. They think giving orders shows leadership. They think forcing opinions shows power. But aggression is not authority. Aggression is fear in disguise. Aggression is insecurity, pretending to be strength. Real authority does not need shouting. Real authority does not need threats. Real authority does not need pressure. Real authority is calm. Real authority is confident. Real authority is steady. Authority comes from inner belief. When you believe in your message, you sound strong without force. When you believe in your knowledge, you sound confident without pride. When you believe in your purpose, you sound firm without aggression. Authority is quiet strength. It is the kind of strength that people feel instead of fear. To speak with authority, you must know your topic. Knowledge is the foundation. When you understand what you are talking about, your words carry weight. You do not need to convince people through volume. You convince them through clarity. When you explain ideas clearly, with examples and understanding, people trust you. Knowledge builds authority faster than force ever will. Aggression tries to hide insecurity. Knowledge removes insecurity. Authority also comes from preparation. If you speak without preparation, you feel nervous. You search for words. You lose your train of thought. You repeat yourself. You sound uncertain, and uncertainty kills authority. Preparation gives you order. It gives you structure. It gives you direction. When your thoughts are clear, your speech becomes powerful. Authority grows when you stay calm. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is control. When others shout, the calm person stands out. When others panic, the calm person leads. When others lose control, the calm person gains respect. Calmness shows confidence. Calmness shows maturity. Calmness shows intelligence. Your tone plays a major role. Tone can make the same sentence sound confident or aggressive. A steady tone shows authority. A respectful tone shows strength. A slow pace shows control. Aggression shows insecurity. A rushed tone shows fear. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard. You need to shape your tone. Authority grows through listening. Many people think authority means speaking non-stop, but authority grows when you listen first. Listening shows respect. Listening shows understanding. Listening shows patience. When you listen well, you speak better. You address the real issue. You answer the real question. You build trust. And trust strengthens authority. Trust is one of the most powerful parts of authority. If people do not trust you, they will not follow you. They may hear your voice, but they will not believe it. They may listen to your words, but they will not accept them. Authority without trust is empty. It is only noise. Authority with trust changes minds. It inspires action. It earns loyalty. Authority also requires humility. Humility might sound opposite to authority, but they work together. Humility means knowing you are not always right. It means being open to learning. It means respecting others. Aggression says I know everything. Authority says I know enough to teach and learn. Aggression pushes people away. Authority pulls people closer. Authority requires responsibility. You must be careful with your words. Your words carry weight. Your tone matters. Your decisions matter. When you speak with authority, others follow. That is a responsibility. You must guide, not mislead. You must inspire, not manipulate. Authority is also built through honesty. When you lie, trust breaks. When trust breaks, authority collapses. Honesty builds credibility. Credibility builds authority. Credibility grows slowly and breaks quickly. Professionals protect it. They do not promise what they cannot deliver. They do not pretend to know what they do not know. They do not exaggerate for attention. Authority also shows through body language. Your posture sends signals before your words. Standing tall shows confidence. Steady movement shows control. Direct but respectful eye contact shows engagement. Nervous movement weakens authority. Aggressive movement intimidates but does not influence. Authority creates safety. Aggression creates fear. Authority also depends on self-control. If you lose temper easily, people hesitate to follow. If you react emotionally, people question your stability. Self-control makes you dependable. Dependability builds authority. Authority also requires patience. People may not agree right away. People may challenge your ideas. People may have doubts. Aggression tries to crush opposition. Authority understands doubts. Authority explains. Authority reassures. Authority answers questions. Authority invites understanding. Authority also requires consistency. If your words change often, your authority weakens. If your tone changes with emotions, your authority weakens. If your values shift based on convenience, authority weakens. Consistency builds reliability. Reliability builds trust. Trust builds authority. Authority does not need dominance. True authority does not need to prove itself constantly. It exists. It is recognized. It is respected. Aggression must defend itself all the time because it has no base. Authority rests on integrity. Authority also requires empathy. Empathy does not weaken authority, it strengthens it. When you understand the feelings of others, you communicate better. You guide without forcing. You influence without pressure. You connect without manipulation. People follow those who understand them. Authority also requires boundaries. You must know when to say no. You must know when to stand firm. You must know when to protect your principles. Boundaries show confidence. Authority means being calm but not passive. Respectful but not weak. Firm but not aggressive. Authority also involves fairness. If you treat people unfairly, authority breaks. If you show favoritism, authority weakens. If you judge without listening, authority fails. People respect fairness. People follow justice. People trust equality. Authority grows over time. It does not appear instantly. You build it through your actions, through your words, through your behavior, through your consistency, through your character. Authority is not a mask. It is not fake confidence. It is not acting. If you try to fake authority, people see through it. They sense insecurity. They sense fear. Real authority is internal. It is built on discipline. It is built on values. It is built on knowledge. Authority requires courage. Courage to speak when it matters. Courage to stand when others sit. Courage to lead when others follow. Courage to tell the truth, even when it is difficult. Courage to admit mistakes. Courage to change when necessary. Aggression is loud. Authority is steady. Aggression demands attention. Authority earns attention. Aggression attacks. Authority guides. Aggression controls. Authority influences. Authority creates respect. Aggression creates resistance. Authority lasts. Aggression fades. Authority is respected in leadership. It is respected in classrooms. It is respected in workplaces. It is respected in conversations. It is respected in negotiations. It is respected in relationships. When you speak with authority, people trust your judgment. They seek your advice. They follow your direction. They believe your words. Authority also gives you confidence. When you trust yourself, others trust you. When you believe in your ideas, others listen. When you act with purpose, others support you. Authority without aggression is true influence. It is influence that lasts. It is influence that inspires. It is influence that leads without fear. To speak with authority, believe in your message, prepare your thoughts, stay calm, respect others, listen first, speak clearly, use tone wisely, stand tall, act with integrity, be consistent, be honest. Be humble, be patient. This combination creates real power, because true authority does not shout. It speaks, and people listen. Chapter 10. The Hidden Power of Nonverbal Communication. Nonverbal communication is often ignored, but it is one of the most powerful tools of influence. Nonverbal communication means the messages you send without using words. It includes your posture, your eye contact, your facial expressions, your gestures, and even the way you move or stay still. Many people focus only on their words, but your body often speaks louder than your voice. Your body can show confidence or fear. It can show respect or disrespect. It can show calm or panic. It can show interest or boredom. When you learn to control your nonverbal communication, you increase your influence without saying a single extra word. Think about times when someone entered a room. Before they said anything, you sensed something about them. You noticed confidence or nervousness. You noticed strength or insecurity. You noticed leadership or confusion. This is the power of nonverbal communication. Your presence speaks before you do. And in many conversations, your presence decides whether people will listen or ignore you. Posture is one of the strongest parts of nonverbal communication. When you stand tall, you show confidence. When you sit up straight, you show attention. When you hold your head high, you show strength. When you slouch, you show insecurity. When you fold your arms tightly, you may show defensiveness. Posture affects how others see you. It also affects how you feel about yourself. Good posture makes you feel confident. Poor posture makes you feel weaker. Professionals use posture to send the right signals. They stand with purpose. They sit with intention. They move with control. Eye contact is another major part of nonverbal communication. Eye contact shows honesty. It shows confidence. It shows respect. It shows attention. When you avoid eye contact, you may look untrustworthy, you may look unsure, you may look distracted, but too much eye contact can feel aggressive. The key is balance. Look at the person enough to show engagement. Look away briefly to avoid staring. Eye contact creates connection, and connection increases influence. Facial expressions are also important. Your face reveals emotion. A smile shows warmth. A frown shows concern. Raised eyebrows can show surprise or curiosity. A blank face can show boredom or distance. Facial expressions can change the meaning of your words. You can say thank you, but a sarcastic face changes the message. You can say I'm fine, but a sad face shows the truth. When your face matches your words, people trust you. When your face contradicts your words, people doubt you. Professionals learn to control facial expressions. They show sincerity. They avoid negative expressions when possible. Gestures can add strength to your words. Hand movements can highlight points. They can show passion. They can show clarity. But too many gestures can distract. Too large gestures can seem dramatic. Too small gestures can seem timid. Professionals use gestures naturally, not too much, not too little, just enough to support their message. Nonverbal communication also includes movement. How you move affects perception. Rushing shows nervousness. Pacing without purpose shows anxiety. Moving with control shows confidence. Standing still when making strong points shows certainty. Sitting still when listening shows respect. Your tone of voice, though it uses words, is also nonverbal in many ways. Tone communicates attitude. Calm tone shows control. Gentle tone shows care. Firm tone shows authority. Harsh tone shows aggression. Shaky tone shows fear. The same sentence can sound completely different depending on tone. Tone shapes influence more than vocabulary. Nonverbal communication also includes personal space. Some people stand too close. This can feel aggressive. Some people stand too far. This can feel distant. Adjusting distance shows awareness. It shows respect for comfort. It shows emotional intelligence. Your appearance also communicates. Clean clothing shows respect. Proper grooming shows discipline. Comfortable fashion shows confidence. You do not need expensive clothing to communicate influence. You need cleanliness, care, and pride. Sloppy appearance suggests lack of effort. Professionals understand that appearance shapes first impressions. Nonverbal communication also helps in listening. Nodding shows understanding. Leaning slightly forward shows interest. Turning away shows distraction. Checking your phone shows disrespect. Crossed arms may show defensiveness. When you want someone to open up, open your posture. When you want someone to trust you, maintain eye contact. When you want to show empathy, soften your expression. Nonverbal communication can also prevent conflict. Angry faces escalate conflict. Tight posture increases tension. Harsh gestures create opposition. But calm posture reduces conflict. Gentle tone softens anger. Relaxed shoulders invite cooperation. Sometimes your body can solve problems your words cannot. Children understand nonverbal communication even before they learn words. When a parent smiles, the child feels safe. When a parent looks angry, the child stops. This shows that nonverbal communication is basic and powerful. We learn it early. We use it always. Nonverbal communication also affects how you feel. When you stand tall, you feel strong. When you sit upright, you feel alert. When you breathe slowly, you feel calm. When you slump, you feel tired. Body affects mind. Mind affects body. Professionals use body posture to support mental strength. Nonverbal communication builds reputation. If you consistently show calm posture, steady tone, and respectful gestures, people begin to see you as reliable. They see you as confident. They see you as trustworthy. They see you as a leader. This reputation strengthens influence. Nonverbal communication also reveals authenticity. People can sense fake smiles. They can sense forced enthusiasm. They can sense hidden anger. Your body often betrays your true feelings. Professionals learn to align inner feelings with outer expression. This alignment builds trust. Nonverbal communication plays a major role in public speaking. A speaker with weak posture loses attention. A speaker with strong posture gains attention. A speaker with steady tone keeps attention. A speaker with eye contact earns trust. A speaker with calm gestures guides attention. Nonverbal communication matters in interviews too. Interviewers watch posture. They watch eye contact. They watch tone. They watch gestures. Your words matter. but your body matters also. When both match, influence increases. In leadership, nonverbal communication shapes authority. A leader who stands with confidence inspires trust. A leader who listens with patience inspires respect. A leader who remains calm in crisis inspires loyalty. In conversations with friends, nonverbal communication strengthens relationships. A warm smile shows care. An open posture shows comfort. Gentle tone shows trust. Eye contact shows connection. Nonverbal communication can also show boundaries. A firm tone shows seriousness. A straight posture shows strength. A lowered voice shows privacy. Boundaries are important. They protect respect. Nonverbal communication can also show compassion. When someone is upset, you can show empathy with posture. You can show care with expression. You can show support with tone. Sometimes silence and presence communicate more than words. Nonverbal communication teaches you to read people. You can notice discomfort. You can notice boredom. You can notice confusion. When you read nonverbal signals, you adjust, you slow down, you explain again, you change tone. This adjustment increases influence. Nonverbal communication also helps you protect yourself. When you notice hostility, you step back. When you notice manipulation, you set boundaries. When you notice dishonesty, you ask questions. Awareness gives safety. Improving nonverbal communication requires practice. You must observe others. You must observe yourself. You must notice habits. You must correct posture. You must practice tone. You must slow movement. You must match expression with message. Start small. Stand tall. Breathe steadily. Smile gently. Move with intention. Notice body language. Over time, nonverbal communication becomes natural. You stop forcing it. You start using it automatically. You use posture for confidence. You use eye contact for trust. You use tone for respect. You use gestures for clarity. Nonverbal communication is silent influence. It speaks without speaking. It guides without pushing. It leads without control. It earns respect without aggression. It builds presence without pressure. Nonverbal communication supports your words. It supports your thoughts. It supports your influence. When you master it, you do not just speak like a pro. You look like a pro. You feel like a pro. You influence like a pro. Chapter 11. Handling difficult conversations and conflicts like a pro. Difficult conversations are part of life. You will face them at home, at work, at school, with friends, and sometimes even with strangers. No matter how skilled you are at communication, conflict will appear. People will disagree with you. People will misunderstand you. People will challenge you. People will criticize you. These moments test your communication skills more than pleasant conversations ever will. Anyone can talk when the room is friendly, but a professional communicator knows how to stay calm when things get tense. They know how to respond when emotions rise. They know how to guide a conversation without making it worse. Conflict does not always mean anger. Conflict can be confusion. Conflict can be fear. Conflict can be stress. Conflict can be frustration. Conflict can be disappointment. Sometimes conflict comes from unmet expectations. Sometimes it comes from miscommunication. Sometimes it comes from ego. Sometimes it comes from pressure. A skilled communicator tries to understand the source of the conflict before reacting. If you react without thinking, you risk making the situation worse. One of the first steps in handling conflict is staying calm. Your tone matters more than your words. If you raise your voice, others will raise theirs. If you attack, they will defend. If you mock, they will resist. Calm tone does not mean weak tone. Calm tone shows control. It shows confidence. It shows maturity. Calm tone allows others to calm down as well. Anger feeds anger. Calmness feeds clarity. Listening during conflict is a secret advantage. When someone is upset, they want to be heard. If you interrupt, they feel ignored. If you dismiss their feelings, they feel disrespected. If you argue before understanding, they feel misunderstood. Listening lowers tension. Listening builds trust. Listening shows respect. People soften when they feel heard. Conflict often begins because listening stops. When listening returns, peace begins. Asking questions is another skill. Questions help you understand why the conflict exists. Questions help uncover hidden concerns. Questions help reveal emotions. Questions show you care about more than winning. You should ask simple questions like what happened or what made you feel that way. Do not ask questions with sarcasm. Do not ask questions meant to trap or embarrass someone. Ask to learn. Ask to understand. Your words in conflict must be chosen carefully. Some words create walls. Some words build bridges. Saying you always causes defensiveness. Saying you never creates anger. Saying calm down often creates more frustration. Instead, describe the issue without blaming. Describe how you feel without attacking. Explain your perspective without insulting. A professional focuses on the problem, not the person. Pride is often the biggest enemy in conflict. Pride wants to win. Pride wants to be right. Pride wants to dominate the conversation. But communication is not a competition. The goal is resolution. The goal is understanding. The goal is respect. Pride destroys those goals. Humility makes them possible. Humility allows you to say, maybe I misunderstood. Humility allows you to say, I see your point. Humility allows compromise. Compromise is not weakness. It is maturity. It shows you are willing to work together. It shows you value relationships more than victory. It shows the issue matters, but respect matters too. Compromise helps end conflict. It helps build trust. It helps strengthen relationships. Sometimes conflict happens because expectations were not clear. Maybe someone assumed something. Maybe someone misunderstood. Maybe someone forgot to explain. In those moments, clarity becomes important. Clarity ends confusion. Clarity prevents assumptions. Clarity protects communication. Not every conflict needs a long debate. Sometimes you must decide if the issue is worth the energy. Some arguments are pointless. Some arguments are based on ego. Some arguments are based on small misunderstandings. A professional communicator chooses battles wisely. They do not waste energy proving small points. Timing matters in conflict. Trying to solve a conflict when emotions are too high often makes things worse. Sometimes the best step is to pause. To say, let's talk later. To give space. To allow both sides to breathe. A rushed resolution is often no resolution at all. A conversation held after reflection is stronger. Conflict also requires honesty. Hiding the truth creates resentment. Avoiding the issue creates silence, but not peace. Peace built on silence is temporary. Peace built on honesty lasts. Professionals speak the truth, but they speak it with respect. They do not attack, they do not shame, they do not embarrass. They explain clearly. There are times when both sides are right in their own way. Conflict is not always about right and wrong. Sometimes it is about perspective. Sometimes it is about values. Sometimes it is about experience. Sometimes it is about experience. Sometimes it is about experience. Seeing the issue from the other side gives you strength. It shows empathy. It shows awareness. It shows intelligence. During conflict, body language matters. Aggressive posture increases tension. Pointing fingers increases anger. Crossing arms increases defensiveness. Calm posture reduces stress. Open posture invites communication. Eye contact shows sincerity. Tone supports intention. Silence gives space. Conflict does not always mean someone is against you. Sometimes conflict means someone cares enough to speak up. Silence does not always mean peace. Sometimes silence means fair. Sometimes silence means frustration. Sometimes silence means disappointment. A professional communicator understands that conflict can be an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to understand, an opportunity to improve. You must separate the person from the issue. The disagreement is the problem, not the human. If you attack the person, you lose respect. If you attack the problem, you gain cooperation. Speak to the problem. Protect the relationship. Conflict can teach you patience. It can teach you emotional control. It can teach you listening. It can teach you empathy. It can teach you leadership. Many great leaders learned through conflict. They learned how to stay calm under pressure. They learned how to speak clearly when others panicked. They learned how to listen when others shouted. Conflict also teaches you about yourself. You learn what triggers you. You learn how you react under stress. You learn your communication habits. You learn your strengths. You learn your weaknesses. Awareness is growth. Growth makes communication stronger. In some conflicts, you must set boundaries. If someone insults you, you can say, "I want to continue this conversation," but not with disrespect. If someone attacks you personally, you can stop the conversation. Boundaries protect respect. They protect your voice. They protect your dignity. Not every conflict can be solved peacefully. Some people refuse to listen. Some people refuse to respect. Some people refuse to control anger. In those cases, the goal is not victory. The goal is safety. The goal is self-respect. The goal is distance if needed. Walking away is not losing. Walking away can be strength. Conflict does not need to be dramatic. It does not need shouting. It does not need insults. It does not need rage. Professionals remove drama. They use calm tone. They use clear words. They use logic. They use empathy. Forgiveness is also part of conflict resolution. If you hold grudges, conflict lives forever. If you replay anger in your mind, you never find peace. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending nothing happened. It means letting go. It means moving forward. It means protecting your peace. Communication after conflict is important. After resolution, you should rebuild trust. You should express appreciation. You should show goodwill. You should strengthen the relationship. A resolved conflict can make relationships stronger than before. Communication is most powerful during conflict. Because conflict is where influence is tested. Conflict is where leadership is tested. Conflict is where character is tested. Anyone can speak well when everything is easy. Professionals speak well when everything is hard. When you learn to handle difficult conversations with calm respect, listening, empathy, and honesty, you increase your influence, you earn trust, you gain respect, you build stronger relationships, you protect your reputation, you show maturity. Handling conflict is not about winning. It is about solving. It is about understanding. It is about peace. It is about growth. It is about leadership. A professional communicator does not fear conflict. They face it. They guide it. They manage it. They learn from it. They rise above it. When you master conflict, you master communication. Because the real test of your voice is not in comfort. It is in challenge. It is in disagreement. It is in pressure. And when you can stay calm under pressure, you do not just talk like a pro. You act like a pro, and others notice. Chapter 12, Becoming a Pro Communicator in Real Life. Becoming a pro communicator is not about memorizing techniques. It is not about copying someone else. It is not about sounding perfect. It is about using your voice with purpose. It is about thinking clearly. It is about speaking with confidence. It is about listening with patience. It is about understanding others. It is about influencing through respect, not force. Real communication happens in everyday life. It happens in small moments. It happens in simple conversations. It happens in quiet rooms and busy spaces. It happens when you speak, and it happens when you stay silent. Every interaction is an opportunity to communicate like a pro. When you talk to your family, your tone matters. When you talk to friends, your attention matters. When you talk to teachers or co-workers, your respect matters. When you talk to strangers, your kindness matters. These small actions shape the way people see you. They build your reputation. They build trust. They build influence. A pro communicator knows words carry weight. Words can help or hurt. Words can build or break. Words can encourage or discourage. Words can solve or create problems. When you speak, you choose which path your words take. You choose whether they lift someone up or tear someone down. You choose whether they inspire or destroy. A professional communicator chooses words with care. They speak with intention. Real communication begins with self-awareness. You cannot influence others if you do not understand yourself. You must know your strengths. You must know your weaknesses. You must know your triggers. You must know your goals. Self-awareness helps you stay calm. It helps you think before reacting. It helps you choose how to speak instead of letting emotions control you. Self-awareness also means understanding how you come across. You may think you sound confident, but others may hear arrogance. You may think you sound calm, but others may hear boredom. You may think you sound strong, but others may hear aggression. Awareness allows you to adjust. Adjusting does not mean changing who you are. It means shaping your communication so people understand your message as you intend. A pro communicator also develops empathy. Empathy means understanding how others feel. It means caring about their emotions. It means caring about their perspective. Empathy does not mean agreeing with everything. It means respecting feelings, even when you disagree with ideas. Empathy builds bridges. It prevents conflict. It deepens relationships. It increases influence. Listening is a major part of real communication. Listening helps you learn. Listening helps you understand. Listening helps you connect. Many people listen to reply. Professionals listen to understand. Listening makes others feel valued. Listening makes them trust you. Listening makes them open to your ideas. When someone feels heard, they are more willing to hear you. Thinking before speaking is another key habit. When you rush, you make mistakes. When you rush, you react emotionally. When you rush, you miss information. Thinking does not require long pauses. It requires awareness. A tiny moment of thought can change everything. A careless sentence can damage trust. A thoughtful sentence can build it. Confidence is another part of pro communication. Confidence is not loudness. It is not arrogance. It is not dominance. Confidence is calm belief in your message. It is steady tone. It is controlled posture. It is clear words. Confidence shows you trust yourself. When you trust yourself, others trust you. Confidence grows with preparation. Confidence grows with knowledge. Confidence grows with experience. Nonverbal communication supports your message. Posture shows confidence. Eye contact shows honesty. Tone shows intention. Gestures show clarity. Facial expressions show sincerity. Your body speaks. It speaks even when you do not. When your body matches your words, influence grows. A pro communicator also understands timing. Sometimes you must speak now. Sometimes you must wait. Sometimes you must stay silent. Silence can be powerful. Silence can show thought. Silence can prevent conflict. Silence can invite others to speak. Timing changes influence. Professionals know when to speed up and when to slow down. Flexibility is another key skill. You cannot speak to every person the same way. A child needs simpler language. A leader needs clarity. A friend needs comfort. A stranger needs respect. A group needs structure. Flexibility shows awareness. Flexibility shows intelligence. Flexibility increases influence. Being a pro communicator does not mean avoiding conflict. It means handling conflict with calm, clarity, and respect. It means focusing on resolution, not victory. It means separating the person from the issue. It means protecting the relationship when possible. It means knowing when to walk away when respect is gone. A pro communicator also avoids manipulation. Manipulation breaks trust. It destroys respect. It damages relationships. Influence must be ethical. Influence must be honest. Influence must be respectful. Influence must be used to guide, not to control. Integrity is the foundation of communication. Without integrity, your words are empty. Without integrity, your tone is weak. Without integrity, your presence is fake. Integrity means your actions match your words. It means you are reliable. It means you are honest. Integrity builds trust. Trust builds influence. Growth is part of communication. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to improve. You will make mistakes. You will say things you regret. You will misread situations. You will misunderstand people. These moments are not failures. They are lessons. Professionals learn from mistakes. They adjust. They reflect. They grow. Communication is a lifelong skill. You grow it by speaking. You grow it by listening. You grow it by reading. You grow it by thinking. You grow it by practicing. You grow it by observing. Every day offers a chance to improve. Every conversation offers training. Confidence grows with practice. Emotional control grows with awareness. Listening grows with patience. Clarity grows with preparation. Presence grows with intention. Influence grows with integrity. To communicate like a pro in real life, you must build habits. Habits of calm speech. Habits of clear thinking. Habits of focused listening. Habits of respectful tone. Habits of sincerity. Habits of patience. Habits of self-awareness. You must also build discipline. Discipline helps you stay calm when anger rises. Discipline helps you slow down when anxiety appears. Discipline helps you breathe when fear shows up. Discipline helps you pause before reacting. Great communication is built on character. Character shapes your voice. Character shapes your tone. Character shapes your actions. Character shapes your influence. When your character is strong, your communication is strong. A pro communicator understands that communication is not just about speaking. It is about leading. It is about connecting. It is about inspiring. It is about solving problems. It is about building relationships. It is about earning trust. It is about creating change. People may forget your words. They may forget your points. They may forget your examples, but they remember how you made them feel. They remember respect. They remember kindness. They remember being heard. They remember honesty. Influence lives in those memories. Communication gives you power. The power to connect. The power to solve. The power to teach. The power to lead. The power to create peace. The power to inspire action. The power to change your life and the lives of others. Becoming a pro communicator does not happen overnight. It does not happen in one book. It does not happen in one class. It happens through daily effort. It happens through practice. It happens through reflection. It happens through courage. Every conversation is a chance to improve. Every conflict is a chance to learn. Every mistake is a chance to grow. Every success is a chance to strengthen your voice. Communication does not end when you stop speaking. It continues through your actions, through your tone, through your posture, through your choices, through your presence. When you think clearly, you speak clearly. When you speak clearly, you influence clearly. When you influence clearly, you lead clearly. The journey to becoming a pro communicator is not about perfection. It is about progress. And when you continue that progress, day after day, conversation after conversation, you build a voice that people trust, a voice people respect, a voice people follow, a voice that inspires. That is what it means to think, speak, and influence like a pro.